Then he asked him, "Where does the food for the child come from?" Before this he replied to him, "The food for the child comes from inside the mother." Then he asked him, "When the measure is full for the child, and it is that he should be born, how is it born?" To this he replied, "My father, when the measure for the child, when it is full, you throw contractions to the mother in the upper hips. It beats the children with large contractions, and then the head turns down and the lower legs are up, then the child is born." Then he said to him, "Beautiful is what you told me. Beautiful are the secret words that come out of your mouth. Go, sit on your great throne of honor, which is yours between the men that your fathers have established." When he wanted to go and sit down, the master called his student, asked him, and said to him, "Silmai, master of the house, a word is to me from the house of life about the orders peculiar to works and words, about the depths of Nazarutha and the interpretations of this world." And he said to him, "When the measure of the world is full, in what way will it be full? All the information that his father wanted from him, he knew to give to him. He did not know this information in his use your senses to give to him. He felt humiliated and sat down below the 362 disciples. There went and came the treasure of light, the great rest and support of the life, found him and said to him, "Why are you sitting there, Silmai, Lord of the house of Pu?" To which he replied, "My father wanted information from me, which I did not know in my mind to give to him." Then he said to him, "The information that your father wanted from you, I know in my mind. When your father invites you in front of him and he says to you, 'Did you know this information in your mind and gave it not to me? Or did one of the Uthras, the son of light, have and teach it to you?' Say to him, 'I knew her in my sense, and yet I did not give them to you, because my foot was not safe from you and not on my soul.' Then say to him, 'If this, the treasure of the world, is full, the earth falls into it, and the sky wraps together like mats. The sun aims its shine, the moon draws its brightness off, the stars and celestial images fall off like droughts and leaves. The fire goes into its shell, the water into its shells. The four winds of the house cling to the wings and do not blow." Then he asked him, "Where are Ruha, Mashiach, the planets and the souls of the wicked who have confessed to you? Where are you going? Where do you come from, and where do you get your space?" To this he replied to him, "Ruha Mashiach, the planets and the souls of the wicked who have confessed to them, call one after another. They seize each other by the hand, are tied up. They go there and collapse like a pomegranate of lead. In Ur, the Lord of darkness, in his own big body, it smokes. The fire is kindled and consumes Ur, the Lord of darkness. Ewath, the lying Ruha, the planets and the souls of the wicked who have confessed to them." Then Silmai, the master of the house, arose and went before Jathrun, the perfect man, and spoke to him, "My father, the information which you desirest of me I will give thee. When the measure of the world is full, the earth falls into it, and the sky is winding down together like mats. The sun draws its shine, the moon draws its brightness out, the stars and celestial images fall off like dry leaves. The fire goes into its shell, the water into its shells, which four winds of the house grasp at the wings and do not blow. Ruha, Mashiach, the planets and the souls of the wicked who confess themselves to them have. They call one after another, they go to each other, they grab each other by the hand, they get tied up, and they go there and rush in like a pomegranate of lead. The Lord of darkness in his own great body, smoke rises in his stomach, the fire is kindled and consumes Ur. The Lord of darkness, Ewath, the lying Ruha, the planets and the souls of the evil ones who have confessed to you." Then his father said to Shilmai, the lord of the house, "You gave this information in your own sense and did not give it to me? Or did someone of the Uthras, the sons of light, tell it to you?" To this he replied, "Hibilziwa gave me this information," and held on. Then he said to him, "Go, go, you who bar the shine from the light that life has cut off from itself, and the Uthras have left behind. Life is victorious over all works, and Yuar is victorious, and Ziwa his helpers." The sixth book. In the name of the great life, a remission of sins will be granted to me and my wife. Between the waters I sit. I am Dinanukt, the wise scripture scholars, the ink book of the gods, the powerful, proud, haughty, in whose house there is no master of the house, in whose building, in whose upper palaces and lower houses there is no aging. These are my books. They lie on the hands in my memorial book, on my two arms. I study in my new books and seek instruction in the old ones. I sense, recognize, and teach myself about the past, present, and what is to come. Then little Desai came and fell in front of me. I opened it and studied it. He is small, but his speeches are great, and violent break out the words of him. He searched in the upper Abaddons and said, there is a life that has been from time immemorial, and there is a Kushta, which was at the beginning earlier. There is a shining, which is light. There is death, there is life, there is darkness, there is light. There is a mistake, it gives truth. There is destruction, there is construction. There is a blow, there gives healing. There is a sublime man who is older and used, and he was the builder of heaven and earth. Dinanukt says, I was looking for instruction from the little Desai and said, where is the life that has been from time immemorial? Where is the Kushta who has already earlier at the beginning? Where is the shine? Where is the light? Where is the error? Where is the truth? Where is the destruction? Where is the construction? Where is the blow? Where is the cure? Where is the sublime man who is older and was there earlier than the builder of heaven and earth? Then I grabbed little Desai and burned him in the fire. Between the waters I sit. I am Dinanukt, the wise scripture scholars, the ink book of the gods, the powerful, proud, haughty, in whose house there is no master of the house, in whose building, in whose upper palaces and lower houses there is no older one. These books are on my hands and my memorial book on my two arms. I study in my new books and seek instruction in the old ones. I sense, know, and teach me about past, present, and future. Then little Desai came and fell in front of me. I opened it and studied in it. He is small, but his speeches are big and break violently the words that come out of him. He searched in the upper Abaddons and spoke. There is a life that has been from time immemorial. There is a Kushta that has been in the beginning as it was. There is shine, there is light, there is death, there is life, there is darkness, there is light, there is error, there is truth, there is destruction, there is construction. There is a sublime man who is older. He was the creator of the heavens and the earth. Dinanukt says, I was looking for instruction from the little Desai and said, where is the life that has always been? Where is the Kushta, which has always was earlier in the beginning? Where is the shine? Where is the light? Where is the death? Where is the life? Where is the darkness? Where is the light? Where is the error? Where is the truth? Where is the destruction? Where is the construction? Where is the blow? Where is the cure? Where is the sublime, a man who is older and was there earlier than the builder of heaven and the earth? Then I grabbed the little Desai and sank him into the water. Between the waters I sat and repeated in the upper Abaddons and spoke as the builder of heaven and the earth. Then I grabbed little Desai and left in front of me from the shadow of the morning until the great dawn of the evening. Then Awath, the Ruha, came to me in my Shkinta, and he said to me, why are you lying there, Dinanukt? Why did you like sleep? I am the life that has always been. I am the Kushta, and it was earlier in the beginning. I am the shine. I am the light. I am death. I am life. I am darkness. I am the light. I am the error. I am the truth. I am destruction. I am the building. I am the blowing. I am the cure. I am the exalted, a man who is older and was there earlier than the builder of heaven and earth. I have no comrade among kings, and there are otherwise no crowns in my kingdom. There is not a single person who could give me a message in the clouds of darkness. Then came Din Mikuthra, throwing blows against the body of Dinanukt and brought him out of the body. Winds take winds, Dinanuk hin horns storms drive him away, carrying ladders. Ladders let him rise up, and let him climb up on rungs. They brought him, they lifted him up, and placed him in the guardhouse of the Nabaz Haila of the Lord of Darkness, the great anvil of the earth. His throne is on the Tibble and is set, its feet rest on the lower Abaddons, and over all the seas the hem of his robe is dragged. 1,000 times 1,000 stand before him and serve 10,000 times 10,000 idols of him. And then he said, when I saw him, I said to myself that I would bow and bow before him, stretch out my body and give him rates. Uh, uh, Dinlik Uthra, who accompanied me, did not let me, and said to me, to whom do you want to bow, Dinanuk? And to whom do you want to bow? To whom do you want to stretch your body and praise it, where the great life and house of the great first father are before you? Winds take Dinanuk, storms drive him to go away. Ladders carry him up and leave him on rungs, rise up. They lifted him up and placed him in the guardhouse of Zan Hazazban, the hurtful, the brave, the king of wrath, the strength and spoilage. His throne is hung of the gate of heaven and composed. To the thief he says, steal, and to the master of the house he says, stay firm, stand. To the thief because of the killing, and to the master of the house because of that damage. 1,000 times 1,000 stand before him, and 10,000 times 10,000 idols serve him. Then I saw him, I wanted to bow and bow before him, stretch out my body and offer rates. But Dinmik Uthra, who accompanied me, did not let me, and said to me, to whom do you want to bow, Dinanukt, and to whom do you want to bow, to whom do you want to stretch your body and praise it, where where there are the great first lives in the house of the great first father before you. Winds take Dinanuk, storms drive him away. Ladders carry him up and leave him on rungs to rise up. They lifted him up and placed him in the guardhouse of Awath Ruha, the mother of the unmarried. Kananit, the mother of the saints, the inner scorpion poison of darkness. 7 noble women there are who are not noble women, and 7 virgins who are not virgins, but are called virgins. Their breasts are exposed to them, and their side is slotted them. The wreath of fornication, and fornication is on them. They take the hearts of the gods, they take the minds of the caught human children. They take the men by the proud looks, the women caught by the lustful heart. 1,000 times 1,000 before her, and 10,000 times 10,000 idols serve her. He spoke, when I saw her, I told myself that I would bow down to her, and bow down and stretch out my body and praise her. But Dinmik Uthra, who accompanied me, did not let me, and said, in front of whom will you, Dinanuk, bow down, and to who do you want to put your body and praise him, where the great first life and the house of the light are before you, the first great father before you. Winds take Dinanuk, storms drive him away. Ladders carry him up and leave him on rungs and rise up. They lifted him up and placed him in the guardhouse of the man Himun. 1,000 times 1,000 stand before him, and 10,000 times 10,000 idols serve him. When I saw him, I said to myself, I would bow and bow to him, my body to reach and praise him. But Dinmik Uthra, who accompanied me, did not leave me, and said, to whom do you want to bow, Dinanuk, and in front of whom do you want to stretch your body and praise it, where the great first lives in the house of the first great father are before you? Winds take Dinanuk, storms drive him away. Ladders carry him up and leave him on rungs, rise up. They lifted him up and placed him in the guardhouse, the house of Tahil, the bar of splendor, cut off from the light, and has cut off life behind him, whose head is whiter than the foam of water, whose beard looks like flakes of white wool. He speaks, by my strength I build the house, by my miracles I founded the palace. I gave up the moon for the account of the worlds, I gave up the sun to serve the children of men. The wreath is from the vine, which does not wither and does not fade, and whose leaves do not fall off from him. Further, Dinmik Uthra said to Dinanukt, go into the world of evil, to the place that consists entirely of kingdoms. Go, burn your books in the fire, and sink your memorial book into the water. Go into the world, call the call of life, and teach 60 disciples, for years and months. When your measure is full, you will come, dress yourself with your robe of splendor, with your great cover, the turban of light, and they will give you your resplendent wreath and rearrangement. You will sit on your throne of tranquility, and secret orders of prayer, masses, and prayers between your brothers, the Uthras, to the sons of light will be recited. Whereupon Dinanuk said to Dinmik-Uthra, I would rather the threshold of the house of life will not eat dust and will not enter the world to return to the great place, which consists entirely of kingdoms, to return. Then Dinmik-Uthra said to Dinanuk, O Dinanuk, you fool, who is not wise, thou more deficient, who is not perfect, at on the threshold of the house of life one does not eat dust. Eat only good things that you are looking for comfort. Return to the world of the wicked and celebrate a place made up entirely of kingdoms. Burn your books in the fire and sink your memorial book into the water. Move into the world, call out the call of life, and teach disciples 60 years and 60 months. When your measure is full, come, clothe yourself with your robes of splendor, cover yourself with your great turban of light, and put your beautiful wreath around your head. Dinanuk said, I opened my eyes and lifted my brows high. I looked and saw 1,000 times 1,000 noble people who were in the sun and stood and wept over me, and 10,000 times 10,000 noble women who stood in the heat of the day and complained about me and cried. And I said to them, Go, ye nobles who have to weep over me. Go, weep over yourselves, and you noble women who complain about me and weep. Go complain and cry about yourself. You didn't see what my eyes were looking at. You have not heard what my ear heard. Then Dinanuk got up, called his wife Nareta, and said to her, Bring me these my books and burn them in the fire, and my memorial book sink into the water. When his wife Nareta screamed, whined, shrieked, and spoke, Dinanuk has gone mad. Dinanuk is mad. This king's son speaks without mind. And Dinanuk arose and burned his books in the fire, and he threw his memorial book into the water. He moved out to the world called the Call of Life, and taught disciples 60 years, 60 months, and 60 days. When the measure of the Dinanuk was full, and when they left the body, they led him to the gate of the house of life upwards. Then Dinanuk said, Open to me the gate of the house of life. And they opened the gate of the house of life to him, and drew him before him the large curtain of security and height. They jumped up, dressed him with a robe of splendor, covered him with a large turban of light. They brought him a wreath from the vine and put it around his head. Dinanuk now stood at the gate of life, at the places that are all splendor, places that are all light. He stood there in great praise of the mighty life and the man whose name is dear, and he is raised up like himself. And Dinanuk said, speaking of his ascension, with which I ascended, let all be true. The faithful and the excellent Nazorians ascend and reach it. They are to be set up and consolidated in the great first place of light. Life is fixed in the light. Manda Dehaya is raised up in life and is victorious over all works. Seventh Book. In the name of the great life, shine upon them their sense, their knowledge, and your knowledge, as well as me and my wife. This is the wisdom and teachings that Yahya, the son of Zachariah, made known to the true and believing Nazorians, revealing and notifying them. He said, If you have the strength to do this, be a man of justice, which is tested in all his works, the same to a king whose crown is set on his head. The world of the wicked and the liars, and the darkness and its helpers make prostrate. Have you no strength to be a man of tried righteousness, so be a true Nazorian, like the orderly countryman who has the earth and the seeds in it, the one who cultivates the perfect helper, who gives strength to men of proven righteousness, and participates in their merits. The weapon of men of proven justice is truthfulness, faith, straightness, knowledge, understanding, wisdom, customness, teaching, truth, prayer, praise, reward, granting, alms, gentleness, kindness, humility, justice, truthfulness, popularity, caution, correctness, purity, guiltlessness, modesty, mercy, compassion, reflection, and reflection about life and true love. The first thing about your truthfulness is, do not falsify your word, and love does not lie and deceive. The first thing about your faith is, believe in the King of Light, that he is there and stands in all the virtues. The first thing about your straightness is, judge yourself. The first thing about your knowledge is, don't be mixed. The first thing about your insight, don't throw yourself into the dirt. The first thing about your wisdom is, don't joke and laugh about the perfect ones. The first thing about your teaching is, teach and explain the words of your Lord. The first thing about your teaching is, don't focus on virtues from the side of the good teachers. The first thing about your truth is, don't change your word to something that is not yours. The first thing about your prayers and praises is, do not love sleep. The first thing about your piety and goodness is, give alms and water for the hungry and thirsty. The first thing about your mildness is, do not accept arrogance, do not be angry, and do not rebel. Let the first thing in your humility be the name of your Lord, and do not turn away out of your mouth. The first thing about your justice is, keep yourself just and take the words of the wise. The first thing about your truthfulness is, don't say anything that you don't know. The first thing about your popularity is, be honored by everyone. The first thing about your caution is, know your bill and then another word. The first thing about your rightness is, desire and do not take anything that is not yours. The first thing about your purity is, don't throw yourself into the dirt. The first thing about your guiltlessness is, keep yourself guiltless and love nothing hateful. The first thing about your modesty is, don't overdo yourself with something larger than you. The first thing about your mercy is, be merciful to the souls of the poor and persecuted. The first thing about your praise is, praise the place from which you came and to which you are going. The first thing to think about is the day on which you receive your body and is reliable. Let the first thing about your love be, embrace faithful love for the good brothers who walk in the love of your Lord. The truthful one is like a chariot which is directed straight and with whom there is no shame. The degree is like the true judge, in whose speech no one lies. The believer is like the farmer who sows and gives good and beautiful fruit that comes forth. The knower is like the efficient builder who builds the building in all beauty and builds and divides. The excellent resembles the painter who paints pictures in all their beauty and merit. The wise man is like the skilled craftsman who does everything and goes. The efficient, creative, excellent man resembles the luminous lamp that glows from left to right. The true one is like a high mountain which the storms do not move from the spot. The one who is tried in prayer and praise is like a merchant who has double and doubled the profit by thousands. The good one who gives alms is like the rich table which is placed in front of the hungry. The gentle who resembles the sweet is like tasty fruit. The humble one who is like the water that falls and turns over, that is scattered everywhere. The ordinary one who resembles the vaunted, who works and is crowned and well ordered. The friendly one resembles a mountain with lovely flowers, trees, and fragrant plants. The cautious one is like the faithful keeper of the tower, who through who all checking is not bribed. The right one is like the right food, the taste of which is handmade fruits that are right. The pure is like the bright, pure source, which has no mixture of any kind taking shape. The innocence is like the polished mirror, in which all the faces are clearly recognizable. The compassionate one who feels compassion is like the sun shining over good and evil when it lights up. The merciful is like the pleasant wind that blows in all the doors and windows that are blowing. The thoughtful one who ponders over what is in store for him and ponders think, like the knight who sits tied up in prison but thinks and thinks, when will I be released from my bondage? Everyone who is filled with true love is like the good, a father who increases his possessions for his children and offspring. Chosen and perfect, be on your guard and keep far from cunning, injustice, deceit, lies, falsehood, deceit, slyness, falsehood, error, confusion, obscuration, unbelief, bribery, folly, song, filth, fornication, depravity, exaltation, haughtiness, proud look, drunkenness, dancing, captivity, lust, embers, through which the children of men are caught: envy, jealousy, tightness, hatred, impudence, anger, bitterness, rebellion, fornication, robbery, from which to rob, oppress, from which to oppress, rob and plunder the wicked, from filth, defilement of bodies, recalcitrance, and beware with which a wicked rebel and that despises themselves against the show of perfection, and understand the commandments of your Lord. The cunning one is like a pit hidden in cunning. The unjust one is like a pomegranate which is flaunted from the outside, but there is mold inside. The forger is like the bird animal, which his comrades in the yarn throws all his friends to their death. The liar is like the enemy who pretends to be a friend, and then he knows every right, and who lowers his voice. The deceiver is like the predatory that sees the ships, and they are coming and robbing. The evil one is like the bitter tree, the fruit with deadly poison, where there is no good fruit in it. The sinner is like a well that produces stinking water. He is the one who brings forth poison and bitterness. The muddled one is like the vomit brick which is thrown into water. The more you look at him, the stronger the turbidity becomes. The hard one is like the pebble which is not affected by all the moisture that to become soft. The fool is like pieces of rock that likes it under you, falling. It sins on you. The haughty one resembles the magnificent plane tree, which with its arbor but does not bear fruit, and does not bestow it on their Lord. The indignant is like the heated stone, which neither which is neither this nor that. The bitter one resembles the aloe which falls into honey and spoils it. The Witterich is like the blazing fire that the wind carries away. The wise man who is untidy is like a house without a roof. The wise man who is without order is like a noble lady without a dress. The wise man who is immodest is like a mirror that does not reflect and is smoothed. The sage who is untidy is like a horse without a saddle. The wise man who is unkind is like a dish without taste. The wise man who cannot be silent is like an army without a king. The wise man who is imperfect is like a table that is not decorated. The wise man whose words are incorrect is like a house without a door. The wise man who is not right is like a river without an outlet. The wise man who is not afraid is like a piece of land that is not to be provided. The wise man who is not careful is like a ship without a skipper. If the wise man is excessive, his voice is held down, his words serene, his gait calm, and his greeting comes before him. If the gait is excessive, his voice is too loud. This when he leaves, he goes along rebelliously, and at the greetings he greets with his fingertips. If the sage is excessive, his speech is correct, and he is a helper in all beautiful things. If the goal is excessive, his speech is mendacious, and he is a helper in all evil things. If the sage is perfect, his speech is just in all agreements that he makes, and his signet ring is present. When the dwelling is prepared for all the perfect ones, and the table prepares, if the gate is excessive, he reckons with the mouth an account of the transgression, and reaches out with his hands and half drachmas. If you have a dispute with the wise man, he will let you grant yourself the right, and leave your works in peace and quietly go there. If you have a dispute with the fool, then his speech is piercing, his voice harsh, and he puts his neck to the sword. The wise man does not come to joy because he is interested in his own and others' things. The gate has the noose around his neck and dances with it. If you talk to a good sage, he shows in you good virtue and works. If you turn to a fool, you will become tougher as a stone. The works of the wise man at the gates are like a stone passing through that oil does not soften. The words of the wise man at the gates are like a mirror for the blind person. The words of the wise man at the gates are like rain on a bad floor. The words of the wise man at the gates are like white garments for the glass blowers. The words of the sage at the gates are like shoes for the walker. The words of the sage at the gates are like balm oil for the fisher. The words of the wise wise man at the gates are like a magnificent garment for tanner. The words of the wise man at the gates are like pearls for a sow. The words of the wise man at the gates are like a virgin for to be cut off. The words of the wise man at the gates are like coals of fire and water. The words of the wise man at the gates are like messengers of joy for the stick pigeons. If you leave the fool hungry, he will curse you with all the foolishness. If you satisfy the fool, then he takes and receives from him that which is wrong and grumbles. The wise man who says, I do not need to go far from the gates, is the first among all fools and quite unwise. The gate that is silent he is counted among the wise. Whoever is not your friend, do not initiate him into your actions. Whose heart is not gentle and not humble, do not regard him as a noble one. Anyone whose heart is not gentle, or anyone who does not do injustice to others, does not need to go to the trial. He who cries out and does not act himself like the hose and the bucket that fills another person with water and gives them something to drink. He who cries out and does not act himself is like a man who is an ugly figure and paints paintings, while he himself is not beautiful but can do it. Anyone who exclaims and does not act like himself is like the walker who the king's dress has been bleached and when it is taken away from him. Whoever calls out and does not act himself is like the deaf who all does not hear chants and songs. Whoever calls out and does not act himself is like the builder who he does not build himself. He who exclaims and does not act himself is like the sleeper who sleeps and is in a dream and kills his enemy. When he wakes up from sleep, he has been apparently doing nothing. He calls out and does not act himself like the gardener who doesn't make a wreath himself. Whoever calls out and does not act like himself is like the judge who does not speak for themselves but only for others. Woe to those who cry out and do not act themselves, who speak differently and act differently. From the outside they show the badges of faith, and inside they are completely spoiled, because they don't know what to do. Whoever does not do the will of his Lord, death is nearer to him than life. The perfect ones are those who exclaimed, listened, and acted. Those who do not lie punish what their mouth speaks. This is the speech about the sages, the Yahya, the son of Zachariah in Jerusalem, the city of the Jews, taught and revealed. Yawarziwa, he and all his helpers made him victorious. Life is victorious over all works. In the name of the great strange life, let sins be forgiven to me, my wife, my father, and my mother. In the name of the great strange life, hear me, my father, hear me. Lift me up, great one, son of the mighty life, our father, son of life. This is the mystery, the scripture, and the teaching with which Manda Dahaya, the men of tried righteousness, and all the tribes of Adam disabuse. When Adam and his wife Hawa were there, Rutha Kudasa went to the lower earth, Sufath, and descended to the lower Abaddons of darkness. Ruha brought dirt and menstrual blood from the Dewa Zamur and bound Hawa on the hips. She said, days, months, hours, moments, and time shall come when the men of proven righteousness will be killed and here inhibited, so that none of them will be able to rise to the light. Only Hibilziwa will ascend to enlightenment and bring praise from the light. This mystery exclaimed and conceived Ruha, but then came Hibilziwa, raising the white olive stick, struck the water and spoke, a time but also an interruption for what Ruha proclaimed, and invented it. On the 10th day, on the 15th day, on the 20th days, in the full month, in the half moon, the men of proper justice will not be killed and inhibited. Then Yoraba said to Ruha, for all that you have created. Manda Dahaya starts an interruption. Then Ruha spoke to Yoraba, this is something I want to create that will make all the worlds trapped, and the disciples shall turn away. Then Ruha went and created the timpani, vocals, guest mauler, and Abfal. She created horns and bilur, thereby capturing all the worlds all the worlds that are. Then she went and stood before Manda Dahaya and spoke to him. I will eat 7 parts, and you will eat 1 part, and in the parts that you eat, I also want to have a share. Then Manda Dahaya replied to her, O you blind, blind in heart, lacking, those whose eyes do not see the light, how do you want to eat 7 parts, and I have a part? And why should you have a share in the part of the one that I eat? To this she replied, they belong to me, the Nazorians, they take pride in who own and take pride in money and goods, which can be achieved by singing, playing the harp, and drinking the flute, and playing the flute and drinking wine, sitting at guest feasts, while the floor is in front of them that will be shaken by you, who call into my captivity your name, Manda Dahaya. Do not name, do not give alms, and do not practice charity. I will bring you to fall already in this world and plunge you into the torture of this world. Then Manda Dahaya said to her, those who act in this way, may Shkinta be, their Shkinta will be accommodated. If I want to create Uthras, I will create you from the great white Jordan of life. Manda Dahaya calls to the Uthras and to the disciples and speaks to them. I call you, you sons whom I have raised. You I call to you, plants that I plant from among the peoples, borders, and I created tongues. My sons, let you through my speech, so that you are not held back in the howling darkness. Be ye, for I encourage you and make you steadfast in this world. For I know in my mind that the more the age of Ab, the more the evil oppresses you. But you remain in grace before me, that I may save you from the persecution of the 7 planets selling prices. Prayer, alms, the call of life, clothed with clothes, and sheathed with sheets. If there is a Nazorian who does not and can give whole alms, he will give half the alms. Rout his hands in kushta in front of me, and I will give it to him, and take full account of him. I also teach you, men of proven righteousness, after all that is with Rba, and about the Uthras that are with him, Zahir and Zerun, Behir and Birun, Tar and Tarwan, Sar and Sarwan, Nasab and Ananasab, about the young boy who was in front of him in his vehicle, and over the 2 boundaries of light that are placed around his head. The name of one is Zihan, the name of the other Zahazihan. Rba, he says to them, who can answer the call of life that has been sounding from time immemorial to overcome? And to Ruha, Rba says, the call is still sounding, the life in Tibble, the call of life still rings in my ear. As long as the call of life sounds in the Tibble, I hear the murmur of Hibble-Ziwa, but I say Hibble-Ziwa is still from his age, not separated. Further, I declare to you, you men of tried righteousness, every time there is a fight on the light of earth and the air in the world lights up. Understand it well in your sense. Fight for your sake darkness, and light with each other, and show light to each other. Characteristics and signs on the firmament. Do not be afraid of him. Further, I declare to you, you men of tried righteousness, secure yourselves, your sons, your wives, your descendants, your bread and your water, and you need not fear him, because still the great Jordan of life, and Silmai and Nidbai are here. Because if these guardians were not here, the earth Tibble, so it would succeed, Rba, to overturn them, and the firmament on top of each other, like a ship that rides on the water. Yes, 3 times a day he makes a call, the sun from the house of Abathur, once during the prayers of the morning, at the prayer of the 7th hour, once at the prayer in the evening. He instructed, and do not fear him. Or be instructed and do not fear him. If you want to get up from sleep and perform prayer, then do it when a glimmer of shine becomes visible. Then pray in the 7th hour. Then when you want to perform the evening prayer, judge it as long as the rays are still there. The man who made the rays also receive your prayers and keep them in the treasure home of the mighty life. Live our knowing, live our understanding, live the men who teach us. Life is fixed in its Shkinta, which life is victorious. 9th book. In the name of the great life, may a remission of sins be granted to me and my wife. First piece. This is the mystery in the scripture and the overthrowing of the 7 stars which Manda Dahaya revealed and taught on the earth Tibble. He gave them to Hibble, Sitil, and Anush, and Hibble, Sitil, and Anush gave them to those who love their names. They revealed to them about the mysteries and the passing of the 7 planets, and the first appendix, which Kawan to all the stars of wrath among the sons of the great tribe of life won. He created a shell and reversed the sign. He sent out false prophets. He put the cross of darkness on them, and the left shoulder, and took them captive from their homes. He appeared in the form of the messenger, and called himself the Lord of Lords, the God who shows miracles in the sky and on earth. He let himself on the fasters and fasters. He makes the men monks, and the women become nuns and settle down on them. Demons, devas, and liliths lie down with them. Out of the females come male devas. Out of the men come with female liliths. They grab the bodies, kill them, and get thus the souls from the body at the inopportune time. They teach you a wisdom, the lie. They take on a form of light. The speech of the stranger is suitable. They make lying speeches and build a mystery house, and where they celebrate their cults, they lay down to each other, take the seed, mixing water from the Jordan with water from the ocean, fresh and bitter water. They take of all the children of men, they make it equal to the pita of the strange man, and thus inhibit their souls. Each of them do die. They do blood and dirt and black water, and put oil in your mouth. Like my disciples, they organize for themselves a funeral mass and memorial service. They call themselves prophets of lies. You impose on them a fast of 4 days, 8 days, 20 days, and that they remain silent. He, Kewan, imposes on them a fast of 50 and 1 and 60 days. The men of proven righteousness are protected from the fact that the hand of the Kewan, the Ruha, the Mashiach, and the 7 planets wait to get over it. You too, my disciples, do not offer the prophets a greeting, and don't shake hands with them, because while you are still in your body, their soul dries up, and their seed is removed from the house of life and is truncated. Every disciple who offers them a greeting comes the wrath of life. Well, I spoke to you about Kewan and the attachment he among the sons of the great tribe of life has won. You suffer hunger more than a snake, and thirst for water more than an ant. When your spirit dies, it goes out like ashes, and your soul dies like coals of fire. Well, I was talking to you about Kewan and the attachment he has won. He and the appendage he gained are coming to an end on the day of the end. Now I want to tell you about Samis and the hang and which he won. The Jazukians came from him. You make yourself to me the stranger man, the same. They tie their bursams like crosses on the shoulder. They call the name of Ishu. Like me, the stranger Mana, Pita, and Mambuga take the Wazga, equal to the Mass for the dead set up the Drana. They are very fond of water and fire. You eat from the dead and say that God killed him. They sleep at their mothers and daughters. They impose silence on themselves. They take dresses of menstruating women, dress and cover themselves with it, and say, we do not defile ourselves. They know their own follies not. When their wives abort their embryos from the womb, they pull the skin of them off, set them up at 7 wells, blow animals and urinate over them, and wash them off with a swab. The gate of the Jews starts from the gate of the Jazukians. They rise on top of each other, circumcise each other, and spread their hands on the face. They take the blood of circumcision and water and splash it in your face. The prepared thing from which they eat, they sprinkle with that blood. They call themselves Jews because they have sinned, and clever because they have failed. When your mind dies away, burn them in a blazing fire. Of the circumcised, worthless ones, all the peoples and the gates of darkness, they stain themselves with your own dirt and menstrual blood. Whoever practices their works is for the house of life unsuitable. Whoever eats of their food, whose eyes do not look at the light. Whoever shows them friendship dies a second death. I speak to you, my disciples, and teach you about all things. Everything you bring home from the markets and streets, wash with water, and then eat it. Whoever does not wash it off and eat it will get up ice machines, will get up and be tortured in ice. Well, I have taught you about the gate of Israel. Now I will tell you from the gate of the star Libat, which is different than all other stars. From her came adultery, fornication, and fornication. 360 chants and disgraces came from her. Evil spirits arise before her. They host guest gatherings and chants and cast captivity over every place. They make timpani and harping, and they give voluptuousness, captivity, and singing to the chosen ones. The Ruha, these hang timpani around their shoulders, take singing, and they make flutes in their mouths and speak with them in great anger. Women and men, big and small, get into embers and heat and rub them up. Voluptuousness envelopes them, and they plunge into dance. The Hamurthas, the Nerigs, sit on their shoulders in the form of monkeys. They bounce and dance and throw them into crevices of fire. They surround you with sorcery and lust. They are caught by the mystery of drunkenness and do not know what they are doing. Then another gate came out, which is called the Manunians. They dress with roses, cover themselves with roses, and lie down wreaths of fornication and fornication around the head. Your chest is exposed to them for transgressions. Their side is cut open to them for shame. You take the children of men caught and bring them to trap. You will be the block of heroic men and the muddy lump. The beings are killed and inhibited by them. They cast spells with the whole tribe of souls. By magic and ugly works, they take the men captive from their houses. They take them from their women and leave and throw them into severe torment. They will be the chosen ones called the Ruha and Mashiach. They lead prisoners away, dragging booty, and pronounce the name of death. You bring home, and thereby you acquire a lot of money and good. When your spirit dies, they come and they do not get out of the slings that tie you and the chains that make you die a second death. They cast out lust and song of falsehood, and the worlds and generations are trapped with them. They sink down the throat of the stallion. Well, I told you about the gate of Libat, about the deeds which she accomplished in the world, and of the sacraments, the 7 first sacraments. They kill an Israelite boy, take from his blood, bake it in bread, and pass it to them as food. She is dreaming and pours the menstrual blood of a whoring nun into wine and gives it to them to drink from a mug. The gaze of the children of men must not fall on them, and they will not let you watch. They twist the works of strange men. They dig a basin in the earth and steal water from the Jordan. They boil it with fire. They pour it into the basin, and they let men and women descend stark naked. They baptize them, and they give them water to drink of that water. They talk about the name of death, the name of Abba and the Son and of Ruha. They baptize them, speaking the name of Mashiach in the process about them. Then comes another mystery, which is the sacrament of a donkey with 4 legs in the place where it was sent about. See it with your eyes. It becomes the dirty sacrament by which the whole tribe of souls is inhibited. To you are the unmarried and saints to whom the seed descends over the legs and who kill their children in the womb. They become single, and saints who must stand tied up in the guardhouses. From them are the monks and nuns who come out into the great soup sea and sink. They call themselves blessed men and blessed women because their soul sinks into the howling darkness. Then there's another wicket that's scraping its head off from making a god for a log and worshiping him. They paint the gods in their homes, and they, their sons and daughters, worship them. They beat those who rattle and perform works of sorcery after wisdom and contemptuousness. They lie with the woman during menstruation and call it the hope of the house of the deity of the Lord Yishu Mashiach. Ruha says to them, do not consider them unclean, for there is about them no prohibition for you. Furthermore, Ruha says to them, every one for whom father and mother or the firstborn son is dear to him dies, but put them in your house and do not get him away from you. She also tells them another mystery. Every philosopher, Catholicos, metropolitan, bishop, presbyter, and deacon who served under you when you die, be buried in the Maschia. Uh, Venerate it and pray for it, and do not take them out of your house of prayer. Also, every visitor and vigil priest who separates from you, who performs miracles, Mashiach is taught, sit in the altar room and do not consider him unclean. I want to tell you about another gate, about the sacrament of the temple, which burns in the hearts of people and in their minds glows. 7 blessed ones come together, sleep with a woman, throw seeds into her, and she gets pregnant from them. Then after 7, they beat you for months and let you be deported. Then take the fetus with the afterbirth, blood, feces, and menstruation, and prepare from the marrow the oil of benediction. That mystery boils with them in water and from the bones, and sets them the sacraments here. That sacrament they bake with flour and butter, and do magic and lust, and the sacrament of the host will be performed, which burns in the hearts and senses. Everyone who eats it cannot lift up his face to the house of life, and remains hidden from the worlds and generations. I will tell you about another gate that is under the souls of the wicked. From it are the monks and nuns emerged. On the mountains, heights, and fields they wander, and with their shape they resemble the demons. They walk around naked here, and with their hair they resemble the stinking goats. Their shape is uglier than the night and more terrible than the howling darkness. You beautiful food, the Tahil, the builder of heaven and earth, that was created. They are not allowed to eat. They know no joy. Ruha and Mashiach will not let you feel joy in this world. Demons whisper with them, and then they say, God whispers with us. We do not turn away from God. They call my disciples interpreters of the word and sellers of buckets of water, and say to my disciples, you have no right faith in the world. You also put your mouth in fasting, so that the name of the killed man is not out of their midst to disappear. They take dust from a dead man and put it in all their preparations and meals. Furthermore, Mandadahaya spoke and explained, every Nazorian who the food of Mashiach is eaten on the day when they keep a fast, it is put on fire devices to be cleaned. Furthermore, every Nazorian who is on the first day of the new year washes himself with water from the Jordan, drinks from it, and the face is smeared with it, being a part of Rucha and Mashiach, and to the 7 as a share. Further, I declare to you, my disciples, that there is another gate. It is the one that came from Mashiach. They will be Zandik and Mard called by name. They sow seeds in secret, and in ways of darkness they get your share. Women and men lie next to each other. Take the seeds, put it in wine, give it to the souls to drink, and say, be pure. They call on the wind, fire, and water, and praise the sun and moon. When your spirit dies, you resemble the flies that fly in a pot and sit. The steam rises up and gets to you. You lose your wings. You get hit and fall into it. You will be selecting the name chosen by Marmani. Every Nazorian who comes from there, if you eat food, it will fall into the great Suf Sea. I have told you of Ruha Mashiach and the 7 sacraments that you have created in the world, the tribe of souls to hold on to it. Now I will tell you about another gate, which Bel created. You take the crown and practice the royalty. From it, the book of Ruha has emerged. The whole Tibble dies and is killed, gold and silver for killing them, and shedding of blood. The disciples are killed in the process, and the Nazorians were taken into captivity. They learn the book of Ruha, drink the murky waters, and are captured by haughtiness. You love pictorial works and colored stuff, love the lust of the Tibble, and say, we do not want to leave her. The Tibble does not pass. Everyone, the chosen and perfect one, who blames them meets persecution and is unfair. I now declare to you, my disciples, every Nazorian, the reward and alms of Yawar for colored stuff, dyed white robes, her appearance changed, his wife dressed with it and put it in front of her, will receive blow after blow. There is nothing that would be endless, to be cut off from the expense of light, into the guardhouses of the 7 planets, and fall, and do not come close to the house of Abathur. Furthermore, anyone who sits on colored stuff on his head, on who sits colored things on his head, one will judge with lawless rights. Yes, you, my disciples, have no desire for the pictorial works and the colored stuff of these, so that you may not be cut off from the hidden Yawar. For every woman who was baptized in the Jordan, and with the sign of life is drawn and wears colored robes, is tormented on fire appliances. Your soul will grow thin as a hair on the head, testing, and anger hits her in the black water, and she dies without then finding her lungs. I tell you about the call, that bell called, through which all the great and proud are killed. You can't hold them by the hands, that they will be freed from them. They cry, howl, and melt into back tears. Every day they wage war and shed blood and persecute the whole tribe of souls and the great generation of life. Again and again they oppress her and say, we want her out of this world and to be exterminated. They eat bread with the sword. The more the age decreases, the more you are depressed by them. All peoples, borders, and tongues pray. Even among the children of the great tribe of life, there are many souls who go and join them. You fall away from the name of life and worship it. They tell themselves about Manda Dahaya and profess allegiance to Abdallah the Arab and Ruha, who revealed to them the mystery of death. They go and curse the name of life. All dirt and scolding goes from them, and they swear at the name of life. Everyone who is of the great tribe of life worships Abdallah will find no relief, because he twisted and changed the sign. Let him be killed on an ice device. Also, all Hamirthas who have come out from Nerig, and they settled on the slaves, and the slaves of Abdullah, they raise a call. They pray false prayer, and they let it ascend to the firmament. You are initiating and revile the 7 planets. Nerig speaks to you. There is no God who is more noble and stronger than I am. He brings an interrupted sword, saber, war, murder, hunger, torment, struggle, and following up against his brothers in the whole Tibble in its 4 corners. He brings war to them every day. All souls belonging to Abdullah fight with sword, fire, and flame. Day after day, Ruha goes out to fight and makes war with Nerig. She speaks to him. I have given you the book and the speech and the mystery. Death is revealed to you. I have scourge and ruling power for you. Speak and be granted a hearing. I told you that all the light will rise for you. You explained to your worshippers, well, I will make you to be lifted up to the place where your eyes are full of hope. Look, while you plunge them into the lower soul, you beguile her by scourge and ruling power, gold and silver. Then you plunge them into the lower Sheol and oppress her with device, footblock, torture, torment, bondage, and torture. I said to you, did you not say, I am the powerful God? I want to show you the light. Also, for everyone who belongs to the children of the great tribe of life, and from their teaching, and when he learns of her book, he plunges down into that great place of darkness. Furthermore, those who go hunting and meat hunting and killing food, whose soul will be slain by sword and sword. Every woman who wears drag dresses and brocade fabrics of gold and silver clothes will be held captive under cauldrons. You will die a second death and not become of the house of life, and will not rise up. Well, I have taught you about the gate of Bel and about the works that he practiced in the world. Now I want to tell you about Sin, the moon, and teach about the call that he has called. From him go the Jews, the abortions and departures from the leper men and women. He practices evil in the whole Tibble with velvet and special things. He increases and increases. He raises and humiliates. He raises and plunges into the depths. He cuts off measure and number. He spoils the years and does evil, days, months, and years. He seduces the whole tribe of soul. Whorish, smelly Hamirthas come out and let themselves down on women and men. They are called Bawazig, and wash yourself with water. They put a priest at their head. Sleep with him, put seeds in him. Take that mystery, bake it in a cake, and make it a border point. Swear to each other and do not reveal it to each other. You will also find abortions and departures extent. How they act, you act on them. Men and women who have that mystery find no relief and healing, and their eyes do not look at the light. Well, I have taught you about the gate that sin created, about the works that he does in the world, and about the transgressions to whom he has seduced the tribe of souls. They seduced this and divided him into different parties. I have taught you about this gate, my disciples, as well as about the sins he has committed in the world. Now I want you to teach about the gate that Nerig founded, that Abdallah of the Arabs, from which the 7 forms of wrath came forth have. The tribe of souls is killed by him, and the tribe of Tibble will be bent under his throne. From him came the scourge. They eat, they rule, and exercise the kingdom. They draw sword and saber, and shed the blood of the sons of Adam. They bring home loot and carry away captives, that they sell what they have with their gold. They have not bought, they have not traded with silver, and have not traded with your goods, nor have they acquired them. They rob the son from the mother, the husband from the wife, the father from the son, and take away their strength and steal, which people are not able to save themselves from them. They cry, howl, and melt into tears. Every day they wage war and shed blood, and persecution strikes the whole tribe of souls, and the great bad life. They constantly oppress them and say, we want to destroy them from this world. They eat bread with the sword. The more the age decreases, the more malice oppresses you. All people, borders, and tongues worship them. The soul of the great tribe of life joins them. They fall from the name of life and worship her. They renounce Mandadahaya and confess Abdallah the Arab and Ruha, who gave them the mystery of death. They go and curse the name of life. All the scolding and dirt has gone out from them, and they scold the name of life. Everyone who comes from the great life and goes and worships the Arab, there will be no relief, because if they have twisted the sign, they shall be killed on an ice implement. Also, all the Hamerthas that have come out of him can be attributed to the slaves and slaves of Abdullah. These raise a reputation, they pray a false prayer, and they let it ascend to the firmament. You guide each other and revile the 7 planets. Nerig speaks to you. There is no god more noble and greater than I am. He brings sword, saber, war, murder, hunger, torment, battle, and persecution against his brothers. Throughout the Tibble he brings daily war among them. All souls who belong to the Arab Abdallah are kicking and fighting with the sword, fire, and flame. Every day Ruha goes out to fight and makes war with Nerig. She speaks to him. I have given you the book and the speech, and the mystery of death is revealed to you. I have scourge and ruling power for you. Speak and granted a hearing. I told you that all the light will rise for you. You explain to your worshippers, well, I will make you a paralift to them, to the place where your eyes are full of hope. Look while you plunge it into the lower Sheol. You beguile her by scourge and ruling power, gold and silver. Then you plunge them into the lower Sheol and oppress her with device, footblock, torture, torment, festered lung, and torture. I say to you, didn't you say I am the power, the full God? I will show you the light. I will give you oil and honey, and I will give you food. I will clothe you with magnificent garments. I will give you every comfort, and you will find good. If there is no God stronger than me, I want to give you beautiful women. Why are you oppressing her now with device, footblock, torture, torment, shackling, and torturing, and judging them by lawless rights, which servants of the strange man against whom we have drawn the sword have now ascended to the upper worlds of light, while we are here in the darkness and the black water, and are cut off and neither find relief nor bliss. The Arab Abdallah speaks to his servants and all the gates that have made themselves known to him. When I came to you with the whole Tibble subjugated you with scourge and ruling power. The whole deity is bent among you and all peoples, borders, and I have plundered your tongues, since I and my mother have given you rest, beguiled by beguiled by us, I said to myself, this is how it will be on the last day for me, the great Kados, my father, by whom I was begotten, and my father Leviathan will have a meal ready. Well, see how all they had power like you, and the servants of the planets, my brothers, who were no match for you, and no ruling power equal to you have. Now, on the day of trial, you won't find any of them with me, because I will feed with you, and honey, you will feed yourself with fragrant wreaths, flowers, and spices. I will introduce you to between heaven and earth in anger, and let the chariots go round and make you rams, and let no one now free from my hands and redeem and ascend to the light. I have told you about all the gates of the planets, and all the follies have I taught. Do not eat their food. Your hands shall not be covered with blood. Do not kiss an unbaptized mouth. Praise be to the life and to Mandadahaya. Life is victorious over all the works, and the community of the Nazorians is victorious, and life is victorious. The second piece. In the name of the great life, hear me, my Father, hear me. Lift me up, great one, Son of the mighty life, our Father, Son of life. This is the mystery in the Book of Splendor, which is the manna, from which the rays of brilliance emanated, from which the inner Jordan came. Of them, those Jordanians, came the Jordan, the greatest among all of them, all of the Jordanians. From that Jordan stood out and went there in front of the great hidden, the first Netubta, from the Lord of greatness, the greatest of all Uthras, the father of all the learned, from the great righteous, the only righteous one, out of which arose the outstanding sons of the first life, who stand there and praise those great manna and worship and in worship and praise. He said to them, get up, pull up to the Jordan of Piravis, and to the waves of the water. Remember and call forth a son whose form does not pass away, in whom there is no evil, and whose mind is gentle and modest, silent, and he is like the Uthras, the sons of light. As soon as I spoke the word to them, they rose and praised and bowed, praised, glorified, blessed him, and spoke to him. What you say comes into force. They rose up and went to the Jordan of Piravis, and to the waves and out of the water they invented and called forth the only Son, whose form does not pass away, in which there is no evil sense, and has greatness, righteousness, the only one who emerged from the great righteous one, who was created life by his word. Now it was clear why it was created. The first life then rose, bowed, and praised that great mighty manna, and said to him, I have a single. He conceived and produced a great righteous son, who came out of the great, the only righteous one. Then he said to him for life, go, clothe him with a cover, and with good pure turbans of transmittance. Then it came and clothed him with garments of splendor, covered him with good pure turbans of light, and said to him, get on, and look up and see your father enthroned in his place. Then he stood and he said to him, there is one who is greater than you, and one who is righteous, and whose numerous beings of light are on the left. Come on, she said to him. See the Shkinta in the Shkinta. There is the Shkinta, he replied to him, of which you spoke to me. Then a messenger came out, whose name is Adakis Malala, from the great and mighty Manna, came and said to him, what is your name? But he maintained silence. For the second time he asked him and spoke to him, what is your name? But he kept silence. For the third time he asked him and said to him, what is your name? You replied to this. He said to him, I am the youthful boy, the just, the great, the only one. Then he took him, caressed him, introduced him, showed him to the Shkinta in the Shkinta, and showed him the enormous eggs of concealment. He, the brightness, whose splendor is wondrous, whose light is precious, and whose figure is brilliant and sublime. When he saw this, he was afraid. He trembled and shuddered, fell on his face, worshipped and praised. Then the messenger, whose name is Adakasiwa, said to him, anyone who reveals his figure to people who are unworthy, there is nothing that would be endless. The light will not look on you. who but this form leaves and preserves in secret day by day, climbs up and looks at the place of light, and a part of my splendor comes to rest on him. Then the young boy spoke to the messenger, whose name was Adakis Malala. I looked, and the shine was shining above all, the light that is above all light, who gave me the glare from the eyes and the piece of meat taken from the heart. When you're with life to your father, speak, so do not tell him what I say. Then spoke he, Adakis, to him, tell life your father that it is in your own, and rejoice and shine for what you have seen. Then the boy descended and went down and found the first life as it sat in its own shkinta. Then he said to him, rejoice you and shine in your own sense around when I saw you. The erst Leben asked the young boy, what have you been looking at? Since he said to him, I have seen the splendor that shines above all things, and that light that is above all light. I looked at the brightness whose splendor is wondrous, whose light is precious, and whose form is sublime. In 1,000 times 1,000 beings of light are at your right hand, and 10,000 times 10,000 beings of light on the left. Then the first life and its own shkinta arose and judged. Prayer and praise to him, the voice and reputation rose to the great, the mighty Mana. As the great mighty Mana, that voice of when he heard that call, he got up and created 1,000 times 1,000 lights, 10,000 times 10,000 beings of light at his right hand and his left. The great mighty Mana then spoke to that messenger who was standing in front of him, where is the young boy? Get him in front of me. Then he said to him, if you speak, it will come into effect. He then departed from the King of Light, stepped before the first life, and said to him, where is the young boy? Where is the righteous, great single one? Then the first life answered him, he went to the other worlds of light that are evoked, but not well prepared there. They sent him there and committed him over them, that he might make them all well prepared. Then he said to life, give him a hurry, since I brought, and he took him, and brought him in before him. And I bowed and praised him, and said to him, blessed be the place from which you came. Blessed, glorified, and strengthened be the man who gave you, and he sent and sent. He, the messenger, grasped him by the surface of his right hand, lifted him up, and brought him up before the great and mighty Mana. When he saw him, he caressed and kissed him, and said to him, go and speak to the Nazorians who live in the world of darkness, and in the black water that are left behind. Every Nazorian who hands the kushta to himself, like the great mighty Mana, who at his own baptism holds the hand when he had not enjoyed any, there will be no share in the house of life. About every Nazorian who sits at the Pita, there will be damnation, blowing in plague from the house of life. Rather, he stands there for a long, long time and prepares it, and then he sits out abundantly, and rests. Life is praised in the light that is endless. Life is glorious, and victorious is Yawar Ziwa and his friends.